Okay, so before I get going, number one, if you are not yet aware of Clean Week, get aware of it. It is basically a 7-day sampler of a challenge group. You get to show them what they can do. You get to show them what Shakeology is like. You get to give them that little taste, and kind of ends up being like a challenge group sneak peek. We are running our first one called Freshman Week, starting on Monday. If you have anybody that has signed up for Clean Week and you want to add them to our group, by all means, let me know. But we're going to run another one starting in November, and it will be the 20th of November. So I will get the monthly calendar ready for November and December and January. So you can have a plan, because Jess and I just did that today, thank goodness. So that will be very, 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 very strategic for you, especially going into December. We have to think long-term now. We have to think more than just what are we doing to survive this month. We need to think about it as a business. So whether it is a business that is, a side hustle for you, or it's a business that you want to turn into a main income for yourself, either way, you need to think about it in the long run. So we did that. We put that together. We have a plan. You can run your own groups. You can join ours, but either way, it's set for you, and it's very strategic. So get aware and try out Clean Week workouts, because they're going to be great for you, and they bump up your volume, they bump up your commission, and essentially you're earning an extra $10 in commission when people buy a challenge pack if they're starting with Clean Week, which is great. So that's extra income for you, better chance for them, and so on. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is our new coach mentorship kicked off. If you are not in it yet and you would like to be in it, maybe you're a new coach, you're a coach that wants to jump back into things, restart things, then get into it. It's called that Freedom Life. Let me know, send me a message. Otherwise, the link is in the Limitless Boss Babes page. Other than that, I have nothing else to say, and I am so excited for Jess to talk about her topic. And she has just been absolutely slaying Instagram lately. She went from dabbling and like trying and really sharing what she thought she should be sharing to sharing what she should be sharing, and that was her story, and she's slaying that. So I'm really, really excited for her to give you her tidbits, because I genuinely follow her Insta stories. I genuinely follow her posts and read them and so on. And if I'm doing that as the person that got her to join, then she's doing well. So I will throw it over to you, and excuse me while I cook some dinner in the background, but let me know if you have any issues. Otherwise, it's all yours.
Okay. Let me get this.
Just turn your volume up a little bit, Jess.
Okay.
Talk a little bit louder.
All right. Can you see that? Can you see it? Yeah? Okay. All right. So Instagram is something that I have dove a little more into the last little bit. So I wanted to share with you guys just kind of what I've learned so far along the way, and how you can use it to really help your business, whether that's if you use Instagram solely, or you use Facebook, or whatever it is. You can kind of take these tips and do kind of what you can.
It's super quiet, Jess. Are you able to talk a little bit louder, or like uncover your, I'm not sure. It wasn't this quiet before.
Here, let me, I'll take the case off. Is this better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Okay.
Yes, perfect.
All right. So For some of you that don't know me, I'll tell you a little bit about how I got into coaching, and kind of where I was at before, and where I'm at now. So I signed up as a coach back in April of 2016, and I was just finishing my third year of university at the time. And funny story, Ryan had messaged me about coaching, and this was the first time we'd ever talked. And we've known each other for like 3 years. At the time, we went to school together, but we just never connected with each other. So she sent me a message one day about coaching, and I was kind of at the beginning, I was just kind of like, okay, this sounds like amazing, like I'm in. And at the time, I was in school, and I was also working as a personal trainer at a gym. And I was kind of going through school, doing coaching and working. And then eventually I had quit my job at the gym, because it was getting too much for me. And I kind of had this other opportunity sitting there for me that wasn't causing me stress and causing me to commute, hours a day. And working for other people is just not the best. So, anyways, I got into coaching, finished school, and for a little bit, right out of school, I was working full time at another gym, and I hated it. So I ended up quitting after a couple of months. That was probably my biggest eye opener, when it came to coaching and making me realize that it didn't have to be that way. But all it took was kind of me making that decision. So anyways, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm doing full-time coaching. I also work at a chiropractor clinic on the side as well, and that's just something that I started doing through school, and I absolutely fell in love with. I love the people that I work with, and the people that I get to treat and everything. So it genuinely doesn't feel like work to me, and I have so much fun going there. So that's kind of something that I've chosen to keep up, just because it's something that makes me happy. So I wasn't always on Instagram, and I would say from when I signed up in April, it wasn't until May of this year that I created my fitness Instagram account. And I have my own personal Instagram, but I never used it for coaching, because I still wanted to keep something that was personal, and that I could kind of separate business from my friends and whatnot, which is totally fine. So it wasn't until May of this year that I opened my fitness Instagram. And it's kind of, even since when I opened my new Instagram, it's changed a lot over the last little while. And there's a ton of stuff that you can do to kind of utilize it for your business. And I've been kind of diving into it a lot and having a ton of fun with it. And I know it's easy to get overwhelmed when it comes to social media, and we have all these platforms that we can use, and there's all these different tools that you can use on these platforms, and it kind of seems like you have to do everything. So I just kind of thought I would share a little bit about what I've learned so far that might make things a little easier for you, or will help you kind of start building your Instagram, whether you have already started one, or you want to start one, or you have a personal one that you're using. It doesn't matter. Regardless, you can kind of play around with these things and find what works for you. So first, is I'm going to kind of just tell you a little bit how you can use your Instagram for your business. Like I said, it could be your personal one where you already have a following, or you're starting a completely new Instagram where you don't have a following there yet, but you're trying to build it, which is what I'm doing on my Instagram right now. So there's a ton of tools for you that you can use on Instagram for your challengers, for your coaches that are on your team, and for your potential clients and coaches. And ultimately, it's a tool to showcase you and what you're all about, and um, sharing what you have to offer, because that's what people are going to be attracted to. There are a ton of coaches out there, a ton of resources for people to get fit and healthy. So this is kind of your way to share why you are the one that can help them. And ultimately, this is kind of creating your brand and creating you and your story and how you portray that on your Instagram. So I'm going to talk a little bit, or a lot of it actually, about Instagram stories first, because this is kind of the one I think it's a really, really popular big tool that you can use right now, but it is a little intimidating if you're not really sure kind of where to start with it. So my best advice is have fun with them. And the best way to start is to just start, and you'll kind of figure out what you like to do on there, what's fun for you. You'll figure that out kind of as you go along. And don't try and script yourself and kind of plan out what you're trying to say, because you just want to be you and kind of act like people are on their phone kind of just talking to you in person. They kind of want to get to know you. So a couple of tips that you can do when you're out and about, kind of whether you're at an event, a concert maybe, or wherever you are, on your stories, you can tag your location. And obviously be careful, like safety wise, in terms of don't really, post your address every time that you're at your house, or don't post kind of, things that are right beside your house or whatever. Be safe, obviously, but you can use your location. And when you tag that location, your story is going to pop up on everyone who is at that location or is also tagging that location. That your story is going to pop up for much more people than just your following. So I recently, over the weekend, I tagged my location while I was at the farmer's market. And it was just, I honestly didn't even really think anything of it. I just tagged the location, and I got about 100 new viewers than I normally do on my stories, just for tagging that location. So it's a really good way to kind of up your engagement and kind of get people seeing you, and then they'll kind of get to know who you are and what you're about. So other tips: share a day in the life of you and kind of what a day looks like for you. So this could be, especially for us coaches, we work out every day. So you can share your workouts on your Instagram stories. Share that you're showing up for your challengers. Share that you're showing up for your coaches. Share that you show up for you, for your health, and that you're going to show up for everyone that joins you. And with the workout videos, you want to kind of have fun with them, and make it engaging to watch. So throw on some music and kind of dance around or sing or whatever it is that you like to do. Maybe you have a dog that kind of has fun with you in your workouts, or a cat, or whatever it is, and you can share things about you during your workouts, but you don't want to post too many in a row that people are just going to start scrolling by, because people will stop getting interested in your, you're basically at that point you're giving them, one, you're giving them a free workout, two, you're not really, adding value in like 10 kind of workout videos for them. That's basically just kind of you, it looks like you're just taking videos of every exercise you do. So you want to kind of make it engaging, make it fun for them, and share with them kind of what it is about working out that you like or don't like, or why you work out. Share those things with them so they can relate to you. Maybe they don't like working out because they are scared of or intimidated of the gym, and they see you working out at home, and you can offer them the chance to work out at home with you. We do our Zoom 6 a.m. workout calls. You can post on your stories that you have a crew of accountability partners that all get up at the same time and work out together. So that's kind of a way you can share a day in the life of you. And not only is this for potential challengers, but for your coaches as well, because that ultimately is our job. We get paid to work out and share that. So don't be afraid to share that, and don't be afraid to not look your best working out, because that's life. We all kind of look shitty when we're sweaty and pushing really hard in your workout. That's real and that's raw. So people connect to that, and people don't want to see perfect all the time. And you can do other things like grocery shops. If you are doing a grocery shop on a Sunday, and you can share maybe a couple staples that you pick up every week, or a new recipe that you're going to try, or what, give them a little bit of value in your stories, and show them how you're going to help them, not just bluntly saying, I'm going to help you. Show them how, show them why you are going to be the one that's going to help them change their nutrition habits, whether that's if they relate to I personally struggled with binge eating and taking emotions and stress out through food, and some people relate to that. So you can kind of post things like how to overcome binge eating, and how to use working out as an outlet versus food, that sort of thing. Give people value without selling yourself. So you want to get your followers to interact with you on your stories, and this is one where it doesn't have to be Beachbody related, doesn't have to be workout related. If you're just getting them to interact with you and who you are. So things that I do is examples. I've asked people what they use for face wash. If I'm saying I'm looking for a new face wash, what do you guys use? What do you guys recommend? Get people to interact with you, and it doesn't always have to be about coaching or working out or joining you. It can just be about building that relationship, and they're going to follow you and watch you over time. So another really cool feature that they recently added that you can get people to interact with you with is the poll feature. So on your stories, if you go and add your stickers, where you add kind of like the heart emoji sticker and those sorts of things, and what day of the week it is, and there's a poll feature, and you can write a question, and then either have a yes or no kind of option, or whatever kind of the question is. You can ask your followers kind of whether that's I did the other day, do you prefer chocolate or vanilla? And then they can click on your story which button they are, and that way you can kind of get people to interact with you. You can ask questions. You can, you know, I ask people if they would be interested in a personal develop personal development mindset sort of group, and I kind of share a little tidbits of my personal routine and my personal journey with it to give them a little bit of value and showing them what I have done. And then I ask them, would you be interested in, would you like something like that? You know, you can play around with the questions. Or you can just literally do simple things like, do you like coffee or tea? It doesn't always have to be, you know, you're trying to get some big answer. Just get people interacting and seeing you on Instagram. A lot of time, some mornings I will share kind of a tip or something I learned in my book that I was reading. So I'll kind of make it like a little life, I call it life chat with Jess kind of thing. And I'll just share a little tidbit of, you know, what I'm learning and give them some sort of little inspiration in there to kind of, you know, give them some sort of value in whatever I'm talking about. And then, you know, that's it. All right, another tip, make your stories look appealing. So it doesn't have to be where, this doesn't mean spend a ton of time, you know, editing and making sure you have the most perfect, you know, pictures, but there are a lot of tools on there that you can kind of play around with to, you know, change the look of your text. So for example, you can play around with the font sizes of your text. So when you go and hit to add a text, a little basically what do you call it, a like scroll bar will come up on the left hand side of your screen that you can pull up and down, and that will change the size of your text. So if you want to emphasize bigger things, put it in a bigger font. If you if you click on when you're typing a text, there's a little A with a box around it up at the top of the center of your screen, and if you click that, it will highlight your word, and if you click it again, it will highlight it in a different color. So you can kind of play around with different colors and different emphases on words, different sizes of the fonts, and that way you can kind of, it literally takes 2 seconds to just play around with the font, and that you're not, you know, spending a ton of time you know, making it look pretty, but you also are, you know, making it appealing for people, because that is part of social media as well. You need to make it scroll stopping and, you know, get people engaged. People want to see nice, you know, pretty things. So you don't have to spend a ton of time doing it, but there are a lot of fun ways to play around with the filters. Scroll, if you take a video or a picture, scroll right and play around with some of the different filters there. You can put you know, the dog ears or whatever it is, filters on your face if you want. With that though, I would, if you're gonna choose like a face filter, stay consistent with one and kind of make it so that when people go on your stories, they know that you're kind of, you always have that one filter on your face kind of thing. So not only does it look nice that it's consistent and it's always the same, but it's easy for you. You don't have to, you know, scroll through thinking, which one looks better, which one, you know, is more appealing. Just keep it simple and choose the same one and stay consistent with it.
Just to add on, sorry, Jess, just to say a couple of quick things. She like totally hit it, but when you do colors of your font, you can actually, if you hold that color down, you can move it up and down and make your color lighter or darker. So you can actually alter the colors, which again sets you apart from other people. Another thing that you can do is make the sizes, like she was saying, make the sizes bigger or large, bigger or smaller. You can do it in like different places. So like play around and make it appealing. And then Oh shit, there was one more. Oh, if you're going to do filters, I am all for filters. I use filters, but my suggestion with filters is make sure that they're clear. Don't try and hide, you know, an imperfection, or always go on black and white, or always go on like that rainbow one just to make yourself look better. Like, remember, people do want to see you in your real face. It really annoys me when I watch other coaches, like especially top coaches, who always use filters, and I never actually get to see what their face really looks like. So just try and mix it up, like use those fun colored filters, or like a face filter or whatever. But like she said, be consistent with it. But I also suggest being real with it. So I try and choose one that brightens up my face, and I stick with the same one all the time. It's always black and white for my workout. It's always colored when I'm trying to do something cute or like just talking, and then it's always a clear, like the one that kind of makes everything vivid. That's the one that I use, and I do that when I'm like talking to them. I try not to use any other filters so that it doesn't look like I'm trying to hide and be somebody that I'm not. And then one thing that you do really well, Jess, is you'll do the you'll create like an image, and you'll do all of these different fonts and like basically talk to them, and then you screenshot or you save the shot, right? Do you want to explain that one? Because you did a really good one last night when you were explaining your clean week.
Yes, so basically what I do with that, what you can do is basically I start with some sort of like plain background. So I'll literally, like, I go to my table and I take a picture of like the wood panel, and um and then I'll start with a text. And what I've been doing lately with fonts that I think looks really well is I put a space in between every letter and in caps, and it kind of just fills up your screen a little better. And not every word, obviously, but just some words that I kind of want to emphasize, it looks a little better. But basically, I'll take a picture, I'll start with a text, and then if you look to your left hand side at the bottom, it'll say save, and then the next button says your story where you add it. Just hit save before you add your story, and then hit add to your story, and then you can go back like you're going to add another one, and that screenshot that you just took will be right there in your camera roll. So then what you do is bring that same story that you just put up, and then I'll add another text like just below where I added where I had that first text, and then I'll add another text for it to pop up on that second snap. I'll save that one how it is, post that one, and then I'll go back in my camera roll. Now I have that second picture with both texts on it, and then you can kind of play around with how many different layers you're gonna do. I wouldn't suggest doing, you know, any more than like maybe 5. I wouldn't go more than that, because it'll kind of just get, people sometimes will just skip by. But it's a really great way to kind of get people, you know, anticipating, you know, what's the next snap and what are you going to post next. So it kind of gets people engaged, gets people excited about what you're doing. Another good tip you can do, I know Rand's been doing this, where you say that you have an announcement or an exciting thing or something, and maybe you're laying in your bed and you're like, oh, I'm so excited, I have something really exciting coming up, I can't wait to tell you, blah blah blah, I'll tell you in the morning, kind of thing. And then it gives them that kind of anticipation, and they're kind of like, oh, I wonder what she's gonna say tomorrow, I wonder what that's gonna be. So that way you can kind of keep people engaged, keep people wanting to watch your stories. You can watch your own story, so you can kind of, you know, go back and see how it, you know, how it looks. And just be careful though, don't go back and watch it too many times, because the algorithm, the way it notices when you are viewing your own too many times. So just be careful, but watch your own, and then this way, the more people you have watching your story, kind of initially when you first post it, it'll kind of put it ahead of other people's stories because it sees that it's getting some engagement, and it'll put it ahead for you. So another tip is Instagram stories is probably the easiest, best way to invite every single day without it seeming like a hard, I'm doing this, will you join me kind of invite. Instagram stories is amazing for this, and you can really play around with kind of making subtle invites where, like I was mentioning, with if you're sharing workout videos, in one of your workouts, maybe you post a little text or whatever in your video that says, if you want to join me, you can do these with me too. Link is in my bio, or send me a message here, kind of thing. And Morgan actually did a really good job of this yesterday morning. And she was at school like she is right now, and she was working in the lab, and she was basically doing an invite to her coaching sneak peek, but she tied it into she talked about what she was in school for, kind of why she was in her lab taking fly tests or whatever she's taking, and kind of how she does that at the same time as coaching. And she kind of just tied it in there without it being like, hey, so I'm running this group, if you want to join it, send me a message. So it doesn't always have to be like a hard direct invite, but you can find ways to kind of tie invites in there, or also pretend like when you say link in my bio or send me a message here, say pretend like they have no idea what you're talking about. So screenshot your profile and circle that link and say, this is the link I'm talking, link here. And then you can kind of, show them kind of where they're going. When it says send me a message here, I literally circle the bottom of the story where it says send a message. And it literally is just enticing them to say, hey, here's where I am, depending on what kind of you're saying in your stories. So last thing about your stories is you can if you're getting maybe comments like, hey, where's your shirt from? Hey, where's your shoes from? Or whatever it is, you can kind of go on there and say, this is, my Nikes that are blah, 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 blah. Say like, I've been getting a lot of questions, and these are my Nikes, blah, 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 blah. And you can kind of, take it a little bit, if you're not getting a lot of questions or comments about your shirt or whatever, but you can pretend like you are and say, I've been getting a lot of questions about this shirt, and it's from Lululemon, blah, 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 blah. And, just get your followers engaging with you. And that's kind of really the ultimate goal. It's not always about, just getting a challenge or getting a coach. It's kind of finding the people that are your vibe and fit with you. Okay, so standing out from the rest. When you go to your Instagram feed, I want you to personally look at your own, and what are the first 3 things that come to mind when you take that first 5-second glance at your feed? What do you see? What comes out? Do you see fitness? Do you see health? Do you see she likes to play sports? What is it about you that you're trying to showcase on your feed? And you want to think about kind of, if you were a challenger, or you were a potential coach, what are you going to think when someone goes to your feed? What's going to come to mind right away? And think about, do those 3 things align with who you are and the people you want on your page. So if they don't, then what I would do is first sit down and think about what it is that you like, what makes you you. You know, pull out things that are, you know, make you your personality, things that you like, things that people are known, you know, to know about you, whatever it is, and you want to try and portray that on your page. So you want to ultimately share your story in your post. You want to talk about like you want to talk to them like you were talking to them in person, like you were, you know, sharing, you know, having a heart-to-heart conversation with them. If that's kind of the goal of your post, you want to share about you and how, you know, you don't want to just share about the fact that you worked out this morning. You want to share about the fact why you worked out this morning, or why you did when you didn't feel like it, or, you know, you had your accountability with you that, you know, made it that much easier, or, you know, share about what you maybe you used to struggle in the past with staying consistent. You know, share about you in your posting. And you want to create curiosity in your posting. So curiosity, creating that is a huge part of social media right now. And you want to try and avoid using things like Shakeology and things like Beachbody on Demand and things like, you know, Insanity Max, you know, the lingo that we all are very familiar with. But to the outside people, they have no idea what that means. And that's not really that appealing or enticing. They're just going to skip right by it. It's not. So, for example, when it comes to Clean Week, if you look at mine or Rayanne's or Morgan, and you know, we don't say Clean Week ever in the group. The group is not called Clean Week, and we never say that you get Shakeology. You know, we talk about you are going to get superfoods that you see me drinking daily. You're going to get a workout program that I'm going to set you up with that you can stream from online or at the gym. You know, you want to get people curious about what you're doing and wanting to know more, wanting to interact with you and see what it is that you're about. Another tip is something that I did. You don't necessarily have to do, but I think it helps with just setting you aside from, you know, the rest, and find a hashtag that you can use kind of in consistently in all of your posts. Find something that you can use that kind of symbolizes you, or, you know, your mission or whatever it is, something that's kind of stands you apart, but, you know, works with kind of all of your posts. It doesn't necessarily have to be every single one, but it can tie into a whole lot of things. So for me personally, mine is happiest, healthiest Jess, and that's also my Instagram name. But it took it took time for me to kind of think of something that was suitable for me to, one, you know, use in all of my posts and kind of tie into everything about me, and something that, you know, I felt kind of represented me or represented kind of what I was going after. So you don't stress about finding that hashtag right away, but, you know, maybe start thinking about something that you could use to start putting on the end of your posts that will kind of get people knowing that you are always the one posting with that hashtag, and kind of maybe get people curious about what that hashtag means, or, you know, what it means to you. And then it kind of just sets you apart a little bit, where you can find something that's unique to you and kind of tie it into what you're doing. Your bio also, Rand kind of touched on this in the past, so I'm just going to just briefly, all I'm going to say is just make sure that it it's unique to you, and you don't want to have Beachbody coach kind of right in your bio. You want to, give people a kind of a very, very quick, very little description about what your Instagram is, what you're about, what you're offering. And someone who, sees Beachbody coach, they're probably just going to, skip by and say, oh, another one of those. So you kind of want to set yourself apart and, show that you know, you don't want to write, like, if you're obsessed with pizza, maybe you could write, pizza lover or whatever it is. Find things that are unique to you and kind of tie it into your bio, giving them a little bit of info about what you're about, that kind of makes them curious to want to, either scroll your feed or start following, because that bio and that profile picture is ultimately the first thing they're going to see when they first click on your profile. So it's going to give them, that first impression. So choose a picture for your profile picture that is a nice picture of you, a nice, good picture, clear picture of you, because that little bubble is what they see all the time. It's what they're going to see at the top of their Instagram for your stories all the time. So make it a picture that kind of showcases you the most. All right, I'm gonna try and speed this up a little bit. Last slide. So building a following, this is going to take time, and especially if you're starting right from the bottom, you don't have any following there yet. This is going to be something that you obviously are going to have to work on, and something that you need to build to get that engagement on your Instagram. And so here are some ways that you can kind of build that following up a little bit. And one of those ways is using hashtags. So you can use hashtags. I would suggest not posting hashtags in your caption, but rather in the comments. And you, I think I want to say it's 20 or 30 hashtags. You're allowed a limit of 30 hashtags per post. So my suggestion, use all of them. Find a whole bunch of things about you that if you were whatever your avatar is that you're looking for, if you say, for me, if I was a 20-year-old girl, what would I hashtag on Instagram? What would I search on Instagram? You want to think of those things that those people are going to come to you. So you don't want to include things like Beachbody coach. You don't want to include things like IG fitness. That one especially is like, you're just going to be thrown in a mass pool of people that use that hashtag, and you're going to be like, you're not even going to be seen, nowhere to be found. So you want to find hashtags that are unique to you, that describe you or attract people like you, and you can, play around with them, but try to change them up every little bit. You don't want to just post the exact same ones every single post. Lately, I think, based on the algorithm, it gets a little funny with hashtags. You got to be a little careful. You can't post the exact same one every single post. So all I do basically is post that main one, and then I'll just play around with a few of them, and based on the post that I'm posting about, you can also play around with some of the hashtags based on what that's about. So what I do is the hashtags that I'm using to check and see if they're either getting the engagement that you want, or they are kind of the hashtags you want to be using. I'll click on those hashtags and I'll scroll those pictures that come up when you use that hashtag. So I'll say you use a hashtag like country girl, click on that hashtag and scroll some of those pictures and decide, are those people, or are those Instagram accounts people you want to attract, people you want to see your post. So you can kind of use it to add to your following. So I'll use that hashtag to kind of scroll through and add people based on the hashtags that I'm using that I think are people and that are my people. So I'll add people based on that, and then I'll also scroll them and decide if that's the right hashtag that I should be using based on what I'm, trying to attract. So another one is, we kind of touched on this earlier, but in your pictures specifically rather than stories, you still want to be using the same filter. Stay consistent with kind of your editing and how you don't want one picture to kind of, look amazing, and then the next picture is kind of when you're 6 a.m. workout, it's really, it's really dark. That's fine, but just kind of stay consistent with your editing, and it not only makes you stand out and kind of, makes people aware of that's you, and then that's your picture. It's also easier for you. You just stick with one filter, and it's so much easier. And for me personally, I'm not going to tell you the exact things that I do, but I use a combination of two kind of different filters, I guess, and then that's what I do every single picture, and then it's super easy. I don't have to, play around with all the different edits, deciding which one looks better. I just use the same one, and it looks good, and it's easy for you. So stick with that. But in the same, use the same filter, but you want to use different pictures. So post different kinds of pictures. I know for a while back in, I think it was, July, August, I was looking at my Instagram, and every single picture was a workout photo, like was a post workout. And that gets boring after a while. No one wants to see like we get it, you work out kind of thing. But if you gotta kind of think about what the person who you are trying to attract is going to think when they come to your Instagram. So change up the scenery a little bit. If I sometimes will take workout pictures in different areas of the house so that they're not all the same, take different poses. Some are selfies, some are, timed photos, but you want to change it up a little bit. And this also ties in with kind of based on what you're trying to attract. So if you're a super huge like health junkie and you love like nutrition and diving into learning about food, then you could post a lot about your food and different recipes that you eat and all this stuff. But for me, I'm not that much of a cook, and so if you scroll my Instagram, you won't see a ton of food pictures, because that's just not me. I mean, obviously I do post a few like healthy eating pictures, but you won't scroll my feed thinking like, wow, she's really into nutrition. So kind of, think about it. Just all comes down to think about what your follower wants to see. Don't get hung up on the likes of your posts. Do not get hung up on the likes. It is more important to focus on the engagement. Focus on the engagement of what you have of your current followers. So what you want to do is, look at how many people you are following and how many followers you have, and kind of look at that and see, okay, how many of these followers that I have like my posts or are seeing my stories kind of thing. So I know it can the followers to following ratio, it's kind of like it can be scary, or like you're supposed to be somewhere when it comes to seeing other coaches' accounts, and just comparing yourself. So for me personally, I've only had my account since May, and I don't have that many followers yet. Um, I think it's 230 right now. I have 230 followers, which is not a lot, don't get me wrong. But on my stories, I get about anywhere from 35 to 50, sometimes like up to 60 views on my story. So if you look at that in terms of how many people are following me and how many people are watching, it's a pretty good ratio. So although 230 followers doesn't seem like a lot, it's more about how many of those followers are actually engaging with you and seeing you. And then the biggest thing is it takes time to build your following. And there are some people where you hear they kind of shot up their followers overnight, but most of the time it doesn't work like that, and it takes time. um, and I've kind of learned to realize that, and kind of be okay with that, and just look at it in terms of I'm attracting the people that I want to attract, and it's not just kind of like I'm going in mass following like 1,000 people just for a number kind of thing. It's just commit to showing up still, and commit to posting, and commit to figuring it out, and figuring out what works for you. And maybe not everything that I've talked about will work for you, or maybe it's not as fun for you, but you'll figure that out along the way. But the only way you figure it out is by trying and seeing, and failing to see what works. Maybe I know for me, when I very first started, before I had my Instagram, I started a like page, and I had like these huge expectations, and it was nowhere near kind of what I thought it was going to be. And it's hard to build a following when you're starting from nothing. When you're starting from nothing, it takes time to build your following, and that's okay. And it's better to do it genuinely and have people that you want on your Instagram, than to kind of end up with all these people that you don't feel are your people, or people that you want to work with. It's better than that. So my biggest advice is, if you whether you one second, I'm gonna stop sharing because that's it. But my biggest advice is, when it comes to Instagram stories, do not go and look at all the coaches out there and see what they're doing, and think that you have to copy or replicate what they're doing. Everyone on Instagram has kind of lots of coaches have their own way of doing stories and doing Instagram, and you kind of have to figure out what you like, and you don't have to um, feel like the pressure of a certain expectation, because the best thing about this business is you make it whatever the hell you want. You do it however the heck you want. You don't have to do it a certain way. You don't have to post a certain way. And it took a while for me to realize that, for sure. I honestly, I have Time Hop. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it just is basically connects to your Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, and shows you things that you posted like a year, 2, 3 years ago on this day. And I look at my Time Hop every single day, and I see my post from a year ago, Jess, and I'm like, what the heck was she saying? I'm like, that was so not me. I'm like, I wouldn't say that now. But when I look back, I have learned so much in doing that, in posting and, figuring out who me was, who I wanted, the kind of people, to be around. And, that's okay if it takes you a little bit of time to figure it out. It's not, no one is coming in here saying, you got to get it right away, because none of us really do. Like, as much as training and tools and everything we have, we all start from nothing. Like, we all start from zero. So it takes time to build that. But don't be overwhelmed by it. Just, do whatever you feel you need to do. If you don't even want to be on Instagram, that's okay. Like, that's okay. If you want to be solely on Facebook, do that. Do your thing. Do whatever makes you happy, because if you're having fun doing it, that's probably the best case scenario, because it genuinely doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like this chore that you have to do. I know for me, Facebook Live was like oh my god, the worst thing ever to me for a while, because it seems so scary. And I hated doing it, and I avoided doing it because I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But once you start doing it, you're like, wow, I really did it. Like, it was like, wow. And it was nothing. And stories are the same way. The first, story I did, I was like, oh my God, what in the heck do I do? But I just went with it. And, at first there was 40 people following my Instagram, like no one. And I just, kept going with it, and I just kept being me, and I kept showing up, and I kept figuring out what the heck, I wanted to share. And it started coming, like, I'm having so much fun with Instagram, and, doing stories, and, talking to people on there. It's fun for me. And it doesn't, it's not something that I dread. So find whatever that is for you. Find something that's fun, and do that, and you can, run your business however the heck you want, doing whatever is fun for you and whatever makes you happy, because that's how you'll succeed the most, is feeling like you're putting your heart into something that is, your passion and you love doing. And it doesn't have to, if you're doing this business just because you are, want to, be a certain, whatever it is, you have to, do it because you want to. And for everyone, that can be different things. There's tons of things you can do here. And, like me, Facebook isn't all of my jam. It's not, completely my thing. And some coaches rock the shit out of Facebook. And it depends, right? It depends on what works for you, what you like to do. So as long as you stick with that and, go through the figuring it out stage, then you'll be fine and just have fun doing it. But that is pretty much all I have for you. If you have any questions or any feedback on anything, please let me know. And yeah.
Good job. You did so amazing. Man, there was like literally so many things in there that I'm like, yes, yes. Awesome job. If you, like she said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Just remember, like, we're both starting on Instagram newly. Like, I made my Instagram last year, but I didn't start using it until around the same time. So I mean, as for numbers, like, Jess's engagement is incredible. She has the same followers with 230 followers the same viewers on her story, based on her following. For only 230, she gets 30 to 60. I have 500, almost 600, and I get 30 to 60. So her engagement is incredible. My best advice when it comes to, basically reiterating what she said, but my best advice is to be patient. Do not go and try and gain 10,000 followers in the next few months, because you're going to kick yourself in the butt. It is better to have 500, 600 people who are following you, or 230 people who are constantly following you. And like, she literally has a third of her people watching her, and, or a quarter, whatever it is. I'm not good at math. A quarter of her people watching her. That's incredible. That is incredible, because those other people are watching her posts. So it's very important that you trust yourself. And the other piece is stay consistent with it. Like she said, pick something, decide on it, and basically it's like you're marrying them. That's what I heard from Haley Christian from our other team call, and it was hilarious. But literally, you're picking a filter, you're picking, get off. You're picking a filter, you're picking, like your, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you're sharing about, pick something, make it easy on yourself, and then stick with it forever. You are marrying this consistency. Don't get me wrong, you can change it. If you want to change your filter, change your freaking filter. But don't go changing it every single week. Don't go changing it every single day. If you're going to make a change, you have to commit to that change. You can't change it and then go back and whatever. But the point is, stick with it and be patient. Be so patient with building your following, because you want those people to stick with you. You want to have 10,000 followers that interact with you. You don't want to have 40,000 followers or 10,000 followers or even 5,000 followers and none of them watch what you're doing, because then you are talking to nobody, and then it's like trying to figure out who it is that you're talking to. So amazing, amazing job. Thank you so much, Jess. You do a fabulous job with your Instagram and your Instagram story. So amazing. Keep it up. And yeah, all right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Awesome job and happy Tuesday.